for more on this climate core craziness, we're going to bring in the vice president of the Government Accountability Institute, Eric Eggers, along with the former EPA chief of staff and senior policy analyst for the Independent Women's Forum, Mandy Gunasekara. Mandy, I want to go to you first. Thank you both for joining us, by the way. No experience necessary. They're going to be paid, and then they're going to be fast-tracked into federal government service, which is basically giving them jobs for life. Should Americans be concerned about this new climate force?
Absolutely. The Climate Corps is, let's call it what it is. It's an attempt to get these activists that have very little tangible skill set or meaningful knowledge, government jobs. So like you said, they get that incremental pay increase every single year, and it just continues to fester this problem of bloated government, whereby the federal government is trying to come in and tell us what we can eat, what we can drive, how we can cook, and how many carbon emissions we can actually put out each day. This is a major problem and just an abuse of the entire system. Again, giving activists government jobs to do the work of the left that the American public has largely rejected, and rightfully so.
Eric, if you recall, Democrats previously tried to ram through a similar civilian climate corps back in 2021. It would have hired 300,000 Americans, would have cost billions of dollars. We have no idea what this program is going to cost, but we do know it won't be cheap. My concern is that this all sort of sounds happy and starts off very benign, but then these folks are deployed to collect data from Americans, to monitor individuals and communities, maybe even provide propaganda materials to the public. Are there civil liberty concerns here?
I think there are civil liberty concerns, but I think the larger concerns are actually environmental. Look at the recent wildfires in in Hawaii or in California. We know that those are actually a direct result of the Biden administration's incentives encouraging people to do exactly the wrong thing. Rather than clear-cutting forests, as we have decades of proof to suggest is how you actually save lives, they're investing in these green energy pipe dreams. Hawaii, for example, had spent $245,000 on clear-cutting, while they spent $3 billion on green energy projects over the last 3 years. It's not making the environment better. It's actually costing people real lives, and it's dramatically undercutting the actual aspiration they say they're trying to do, which is improve the environment.
Yeah.
So I think from a civil liberty standpoint, that's the secondary, in my opinion, to the actual physical harm that they're doing.
Mandy, this boondoggle is already getting panned. South Carolina Senator and 2024 Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott has already weighed in. He tweeted out, in part, instead of working with Congress to prevent a government shutdown, President Biden is focused on appeasing Green New Deal activists with billions of taxpayer dollars. He needs to get his priorities straight. Given your experience at the EPA, are you concerned about abuse here? About how, again, this becomes this ultimately becomes a different than what they're sounding, and they're going to start putting these people in different communities to collect information from Americans, or maybe even ultimately help identify potential enforcement actions on the part of the federal government.
Yeah, this is the nature of the bureaucracy, and President Reagan pointed this out really well. I'm paraphrasing here, but regardless of how well-intentioned some organization may start, ultimately it becomes about perpetuating its own life. And in the nature of a bureaucracy, that means more federal power consolidated to those who have the least amount of experience to actually meaningfully improve the day-to-day lives of local citizens or the country writ large, not to mention a massive drain on finances. We don't know how much this is going to cost. The White House is keeping that under wraps, but the projection is anywhere from $10 to $30 billion. And Senator Scott is right to point out that the priorities are out of whack. President Biden constantly chooses the wants of leftist activists over addressing the needs of the American people. And right now, we need him to focus on things that matter, not things that help boost activism and stand to undermine economic productivity and the development of real jobs or technology that are actually necessary for purposes of improving the environment long term.
Yeah, in terms, Eric, of abuse, and I talked about those some civil liberties concerns, but couldn't this also be used for political purposes? Now you got 20,000 people, and we know that they're going to be registered Democrats. They're going to be on a particular end of the political spectrum. Could they be deployed then into targeted election districts to push messages about this administration? So basically, Democrat operatives paid for by U.S. taxpayers.
Well, that's only possible if we'd done it before. Oh, wait, we did in 2020, right? When we took the Mark Zuckerberg money and we laundered political activism in the name of global health outreach and civic democracy improvement. That's exactly what happened in 2020. So you're exactly right to be concerned about it happening moving forward, especially when you consider the alliance that we've seen with big tech and the Biden administration, the Obama administration before that. We all know the role that big tech helped play in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story, which I think we have evidence to suggest directly led to Joe Biden's election. So you're 100%.
Yeah.
I think we have civil rights concerns. The more that you have government employees in and around people's homes and collecting data, then I think eyebrows should be raised and questions should be asked.
Yeah, if somebody rings your doorbell, I think from this climate corps, I wouldn't give them any information, honestly. And we know that the two of you are going to be staying on top of this. And we appreciate you being here, Eric Eggers and Mandy Gunasekera. Thank you so much.